I don't know, for me, I feel like when I'm, just going to work, staying in Murfreesboro, doing my thing.
I'm about to kill this fucking dog. I'm about to kill me a goddamn dog. We're going to have to start another intro. Hey, bitch. Shut the F up. Okay. So we're going to start our podcast.
Okay.
And this is my buddy, Jackson Ross.
Yep.
Did I get it right?
You did.
Okay.
Day to day, just a normal few weeks. Eventually I'll end up getting stressed out, kind of thing. And then I'll go, on a long hike, maybe go camping, and it just kind of resets me.
And you actually do that? I think Brennan told me you like to do that. Mm-hmm. Man, we used to do a lot of backpacking. Have you ever seen any of Brennan's videos?
He showed me some. He showed me y'all's Jeeps a couple times. Y'all going out there.
Well, we started out. So this right here exists because of backpacking. It's what we started with. Before we got into kayaking, we were doing all these amazing backpack trips, and I bought this cheap little camera. It's right up there, that little one that says HD. This my entire career that I'm in now is because of started with that camera. Everything you see is because of that. We started recording just some of our trips. Actually, we recorded every trip. We didn't necessarily make a video out of it, but that's kind of where all this started. It's all this cool camera equipment, and now I'm podcasting, and it all started with backpacking, and I think that's why I have this special place for it. If you go in my garage and see how much backpacking gear I've got, you'd be embarrassed. Like, I went so far, and then I was like, rock climbing's next.
Hey, I'd love to check it out, man. I got a closet full of gear myself. So yeah, I love looking at all of it.
Yeah, just looking at it.
I mean, man, I love using it, but bad habit of mine just shopping for gear and stuff.
Yes. I spent a fortune. I can't tell you how many backpacks I've got and shit that I just don't need. But I bought it all and justified it by saying, well, I have a friend that could use it. I don't know how many boats we've got, but more boats than we need. But, kayaking boats, we just a friend can borrow it. And that's how you get other people involved. I don't have to go by myself.
For sure, yeah.
Man, we all loved it. The Cumberland Plateau has more places than you could imagine. Have you been up there much?
I don't think so.
100 trails. Where do you go? Around here?
I go to I got a few spots. I go to Stone Door, Fall Creek
that's
Falls.
Cumberland Plateau.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's all the Cumberland Plateau. I'm sorry. Yeah. But Stone Door, we've hiked every one of those trails probably countless times. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yesterday, actually. With my
Did
buddy
you?
Sam, yeah.
You just go out and walk?
Yeah.
And just reset?
Yeah. We went out. We were, I got some pictures I can show you later, but
yeah, we
get out, right before Stone Door, there's all the little, overlooks and stuff. We sat out there, hung out. But
yeah, you ever been down to the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bitch coming back up, ain't it?
Yeah, there's some switchbacks that'll.
I've actually never gone down and back up. We just hiked from one ranger station to the other. Either we'll go one way, it's like 20 miles maybe, and then an overnight trip, or we'll come back. But man, I think my problem is I've just done them all so many times, and it's nothing new. I need something new. We were just in Colorado, but we were in a Jeep. I wasn't about to do any hiking up there.
Yeah.
Nobody hikes up there.
What?
He went. It's like 13,000, 14,000 feet. Hell, I couldn't breathe. And I was exhausting to switch gears. I couldn't imagine getting out and walking.
I went to Colorado for a week, like the only time I've been, and I stayed with my old boxing coach. And he let me take his car one day while he was at work, and I just drove around and hiked a bunch of different spots.
What part of Colorado?
It was gorgeous. Bailey.
I don't know where that is.
It's about 45 minutes away from Denver.
Okay, so the northeast side or east side. Well, go to the southwest side. It's a totally different world. It's not even the same. Like, I guess Denver's, 7,000 feet?
I wouldn't know.
Okay, well, it's way different. Anyway, it was, he went and got altitude sickness. Didn't you, Dakota? You want to tell me about your altitude sickness?
It was pretty bad.
Pretty bad?
Yeah. It was rough.
He had and I thought altitude sickness would affect people that was out of shape. No, apparently it's just the person. We got a lot to cut up in the beginning. We're going to have to figure this thing out. We'll find our fucking groove and just get on a damn topic. I think you wanted to talk about backpacking. Hold on. I got to adjust myself. I think you wanted to talk about being out in the wilderness. But did you want to talk about like why it makes you feel better, or why, or were you curious about it, or do you think you know why? Or is it even a fucking topic worth going into? I mean, I think it could be fascinating. Like, why is going out in the wilderness?
Well, I feel like
we can talk about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like to me, when you go out there and you go camping, anything, you just get out in nature. That is our natural habitat.
It's a good point.
I just feel like part of the reason everyone's so stressed out is we're just sitting in these chunks of metal. We're flying down the road 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There's nothing but concrete and metal around us and fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
And just get a little high strung, and then you go out, you got a fire, you're looking at the stars, and it just kind of goes away.
Well, I think this right here explains it. My daughter-in-law painted it for me. This is part of my logo. I'm very proud of it. Thank you, Lindsay. But it's the yin-yang. And this is what I was saying. Nobody really understands it. And this is not an exact yin-yang. Usually it's a dragon and shit, but she gave me the tree of life, and I like it. Order and chaos. So life's about balance. And, man, that's balance. Everything's balance. We could talk about this forever, but like we live in chaos. The minute you walk out the door and you put yourself in any circle, coming into here, right now you're existing in chaos because you don't know what the fuck is about to be said. You don't know what's about to come out of your mouth. You don't know what you're about to hear. You don't know if we're gonna bomb. Like you're in a chaotic situation.
Right.
Right? But it's important because that's the only place you learn is in chaos because you get exposed to new things.
Yep.
Okay? So like a new job. Literally just walking into a grocery store could be chaotic. You don't really know, but that is where you get exposed to new ideas, to new possibilities. But the reason why it's important is because that's how you learn. But then the other side of that, you can't just exist in chaos. You have to have order. So that's what this represents. I don't know. I wouldn't say that one is chaos and one's not. I guess it's just flip of a coin, whatever you want to say. But so see this line? So we can talk about balance. Maybe that's what our conversation should be about tonight, since that's what you was talking about. So that looks like balance to me, right? Equal and opposing forces. I would agree. But there's other types of balance. Have you ever heard of the Fibonacci sequence?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what it is? 1 + 2 is 3. 2 + 3 is 5. You get the point. It's a
the perfect spiral.
a rate of expansion, right?
Yeah.
Which is 1.6180. Could you look that up, make sure? Because I haven't thought about this in a long time. But the Fibonacci sequence, the multiplier, I think is 1.6180. We'll find out. But it's the rate of expansion. So a hurricane, every revolution, a hurricane will expand it'll expand that much, whatever the number is, and I'm probably messing it up. Is that right?
0, 1, 1, 2, 3.
No.
5.
No, the Fibonacci sequence is 1.618, I believe. I don't have a phone. Type in 1.618. Fibonacci sequence, and that should come up, see if it's right. I know it's not pi, it's 1.3. What?
4.
Yeah.
3.14.
Okay, yeah, I was right. 1.618. So the rate of expansion. And they say, okay, that's why, so you've heard of the rule of thirds? Ever heard of this?
Maybe.
Well, you've seen it every time you open your camera up in your phone and you go to a picture that you've taken and you see that tic-tac-toe board. Well, that was stolen from the Fibonacci sequence. I ain't gonna say stolen, but that's where it was created. So it's dividing things into thirds is a very balanced way. The reason why I'm in this angle of the shot is because I'm 1/3. So if I cut my screen up into a tic-tac-toe, you'll end up with 4 intersecting points. And so your focus goes in those intersecting points. So an eyeball, whatever it is, you try to stage it that way.
Yeah.
And I know I'm getting way, way out there, but we're talking about balance, and I know it's gotten into photography, but that's how I've learned all these things. But what is balance? It's complicated. It's not just equal and opposing forces. I think harmony, asymmetry. You get what I'm saying? So that painting is asymmetrical, the one behind you, right? This one's balance, equal and opposing. So that's a very balanced painting, but it isn't easy to identify when you're talking about asymmetry. Asymmetry. When you're talking about harmony, I think of harmony as in a band full of guitar players and one bass. or 30 flutes and 1 tuba. You know, that's harmony.
Yeah.
And that's how the world works. The world is not divided in half with balance. So when we think, oh, it's balance, well, it's not equally good and equally bad, good and evil. That would be a fucked up world to live in, to see half the world is bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this explains balance. So right in the center would be equal and opposing forces. But out here is where you get into harmony. So we'll call the black will be chaos and the red will be order. Right. But I guess we should identify what order is. So chaos is where you go to be exposed to new possibilities. Fear, scary shit is out there. So the first day of a job. Your home or the wilderness is order. You go into the wilderness to reflect on chaos, to reflect on life, and or just to not even think about it, to maybe not even reflect, maybe to just be emotionless, just to kind of just allow your hormones to kind of subside and just enjoy the sounds around you. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the point. I think this is a good example of why going into the wilderness is important. Because we spend so much time in chaos, we need to go into order to reflect. Now, here's the beautiful part about it. If you imagine this large side as a lot of chaos, very little chaos over here. This black is almost gone. This whole order, a whole lot of order, very little order. Okay? The secret is to be somewhere on this line at all times. So basically, imagine 1 foot in order, 1 foot in chaos. So you could spend a lot of your time in the wilderness, but you have to experience a little bit of chaos to be balanced. You have to try. You couldn't just sit there. You need to go do something kind of dangerous. Get close to the edge of a cliff, right? Feel alive. But let's say we move over to this side. You can be in a whole lot of fucking chaos and go out into the woods for one night and balance your life out. So that's how this symbol works, this Buddha symbol that's order and chaos. The secret is to find balance every day in life. I mean, it's going to balance itself out one way or another. Right. Like you were going to shut the fuck down. Like the body's going to force you to balance it out. Right. But if you do that proactively rather than reactively, you can live, I think, a more healthy life.
That is a...
Have you ever heard this explained?
Not really.
Like that?
No.
Took me my whole life to figure it out. I didn't figure it out. Matter of fact, I had to learn it from someone else. Jordan Peterson.
I know of him.
Jordan Peterson? Man, I had an emotional experience last night because he's been gone for a while. He got really sick. He got on diazepam, and it's an anti-anxiety medication. His wife was basically dying. They thought she wasn't going to make it. And I guess in 2017, he got on this medication, and man, he's just been in... A lot has changed for him. If you followed him at all, a lot has changed. And it really inspired. He really, I just resonated. A lot of people, man. That's the cool thing about him is so many people is drawn to him at this point in time. But about a year and a half ago, he just disappeared. We didn't know what was going on. He got really sick. And he almost died. He couldn't get off the medication. His wife survived, and he went through... pure hell. Like they tried, he's from Canada. They tried to fix him there. They couldn't. United States, they ended up having to get him to Moscow. And they finally weaned him off the diazepam. He was going to die if you just pulled it off. Yeah. So they finally got him off of it. And I guess it's been 6-8 months. He's been clean, but he's still not there. But he made a video last night. I was sitting there and I was like, oh shit, Jordan Peterson made a video. So he was just talking about he's on his way back. His brain's starting to work. He's a philosopher. He's a clinical psychologist by trade. But I've learned a lot. A lot of the questions I have, I've learned my answers from him. He's just a wicked smart dude. Very curious guy. And he really inspired me to not be ashamed of the way my brain works. You know, a lot of things you don't talk to people about because you're afraid. I'm afraid of what. Fuck, he's lost his mind.
No, me too.
And I've been on this journey for many, many years, but after understanding who he was and the way his brain works, the way he thinks, it just made me like, oh, I'm normal. I'm completely normal. But I got really, maybe it was because I was drinking a lot last night, and I was watching this video and seeing him come back. It was almost, I just lost my dad recently. Maybe that has something to do with it. Like, Jordan Peterson's really been a rock in my life in the last few years, and him being gone, I've just like, where do I turn to? You know?
Yeah.
You got to have your old man, I guess. So I got very emotional last night watching his little 7-minute video of talking about coming back. And anyways, didn't mean to get sidetracked on that, but that's where I learned it from. Order and chaos. Fascinating. I think the Buddhists are some smart. I'm not a Buddhist,
Right.
and I don't know much about them. I just know that little symbol, yin yang, was pretty spectacular.
They, I don't know much about. I don't want to say it wrong.
Buddhism?
Yeah.
Buddhism? Like, you can say it wrong. Shit, we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
But I don't know much about it, but everything I do, it's all just about like being nice and trying to be the best person you can.
Shouldn't that be all societies?
Exactly.
You know, I think
Yeah.
I think that's all this is for me. This whole podcast is to help me become a better version of myself. And I do that by talking. You know, it's one thing to think about something, but when you have a soundboard, if you just had somebody to talk to, it's weird. You get to hear yourself back, and that's when things start to resonate. And I think that's the whole point of me wanting to have, like, we kept having all these conversations, and people are like, God, that would have made a good podcast. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have that same, wow, wish we'd have recorded that.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it, I am going to record it. And I think everybody should. If you keep thinking about that, that's a pretty good indication you need to fire up your cell phone and start talking into it and record these conversations, because here's the weird thing. You would be amazed at how much you learn by just listening to yourself back. It was really weird because I was watching them back to try to cut them up into small sections. And then it was almost like I was watching somebody else. Like I was learning from the guy on the screen. I was learning a lot about the people that was on the show too, because when you're in a conversation, you're thinking about don't forget this thought, right? And you get so trapped, and a lot of times we miss, and like so many of the things that people said, I didn't catch in the moment. It like flew right over me. Right. But then when I watched the podcast back, I was like, oh shit, that was really intelligent, what they had said. Yeah. And also some things that I had said kind of made more sense. I know I'm going down one of those weird rabbit holes, but I think ultimately what I was trying to say is the purpose of this is to record the shit that comes out of my mouth. And in 10 years, look back and think, do you still believe that? Or where are you now? Have you grown? Does that make sense?
Yeah. What do you think's going to happen?
I don't know. I'm changing. I know I'll be different. I think things that I thought 10 years ago, I've redeveloped. I've evolved since then.
Yeah.
It's funny. Some of the things that I have written down, I was like, oh, this is the secret to everything. I thought I had it. And now it's almost like, no, that was just another part. I want to let you go. And then I want to talk about symptoms.
Okay.
If you had something, because I think you got something you wanted to say, and I don't want to mess that up, because we were talking about backpacking, and I ended up in yin yang. You got to wheel me in, like you got to like, oh, we need some kind of sign that we put on the table that says stop.
We need a talking fella.
We had a talking rock. As kids, we would have this rock. I mean, it was only like one time, but we picked this rock up, and it was like 10 of us, 8 of us, and no one could talk unless you had the rock, because we were not being productive. We got into philosophy. It seems like that's been my whole life. And you had to have the rock to talk. My buddy kept that rock for years, but talking pillow, I've never heard of that one.
It's from Breaking Bad.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Damn, I love that show. I don't remember the talking pillow though. So I'm gonna shut up and let you say what you was wanting to say. What do you think about the yin yang?
Well, so what you were talking about, like the chaos and having one foot, you're living in a city, but you go out and you get your nature, and that's your order, right? What about the people that never do though? And the people that, there are some people that don't like going out into nature, and that's one of the hardest things for me to grasp. Like, I get every person has to have individual interests, and we aren't all the same, but like we all came from that. It's weird to me that there's people that don't like that.
Yeah, it's funny that everybody that has a profile, their interests are hiking.
Yep. But they
you ain't hiking.
Nah.
You don't even hike your damn car. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
Man, I never thought about it. Like,
How many of you?
I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to. I think there's a lot of unhappy people.
I do too.
I think that people are lost, and living in a world of chaos, and they satisfy their needs by buying shit.
Yep.
You know, spontaneous hits of dopamine by taking a pill. So easy. Like if people understood what they were actually doing, like this pill will make you feel better. No, that pill releases a hormone, and that hormone connects a synapse, or it's like a wire. You know, it took me a long time to understand how hormones worked, but they're a communication device. It's almost like a telephone line, and it connects this part of your brain to this part of your brain, and now you feel something. Right. You smile, you feel adrenaline, you know, you feel these things. And the more chemical that's released, you can imagine the fatter the wire, the more communication can flow. So you can take a drug that could pour out these hormones, these chemicals in your brain. And the problem is that you deplete these resources, you know.
Right.
That's why I would never do a drug like
cocaine.
Yeah, I never done cocaine, but I think more than anything, stuff like Molly.
Yeah.
You know, they call it the Suicide Tuesday drug. Is Molly the one that ravers do?
Well, I believe so.
It's either made from coke. They make it from coke, heroin, meth.
So
those are the three ones that they make it from.
What I've heard is that Molly is so Molly is MDMA, I believe, but it's cut with coke or whatever else. Sure.
I did a bunch of research on it because not because I was interested in trying it, but because I'd heard of it as the Suicide Tuesday drug, and I thought, well, that's interesting. Where'd they come up with that term? And so I thought about it and I researched it. Basically, you have a limited amount. Damn. Okay, so you got me into this because we were talking about balance. We were talking about people. The importance of going out into nature. Well, like nature is one thing that we can use to reflect, to just chill the fuck out, man.
Right.
Like to break the chaotic cycle. And then here we are talking about MDMA. But it's all related to me. Because I guess maybe I wanted to go to that drug because that drug is an easy way to describe why people are so unhappy. And we can talk about it, and we can pull it all back together, or maybe we could just say, hold on, let's just focus on backpacking.
Okay. You're about why people are unhappy. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, well, let's stay on what we're saying, and talk about what is happiness. Let's just say, what is happiness? It's complicated.
Yeah, I mean,
the sensation of it.
Yeah, I would say it's a mix of chemicals at bottom line, but
that's fun. That's awesome. You jumped there. I mean, maybe it's because we was already talking about it, but I think we've already. I think you do think about that, and that's the way I see everything. I mean, that is the fact, and it's weird that we're not taught that in science. You can go to therapy and they don't describe that. They say, here's a pill. They don't tell you what the pill's doing, right? It's releasing a hormone. And I'm not trying to pretend to be a damn doctor. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be on it. I ain't saying shit. I'm saying I don't know. Right. I'm saying that when we take a pill, it is exactly the same thing. Let's say you're taking a pill for depression or anxiety. And I think it's really important to understand what depression is and what anxiety is. Like, those are two totally different things. Yeah. And a lot of times I think they're treated in the same way, although I've never been treated for it, so I don't know. I know I suffer from a little bit of anxiety, which I manage by breathing. Right. And it's because I have a lot of anticipation. I get really fucking excited. The reason why I get nervous before the show is the same reason I would get nervous for a job interview. It's because of the anticipation. But once I get in my groove, I'm pretty good. It's why I wouldn't do public speaking. I would be the anticipation of doing it, I could have a meltdown, man. Yeah. I'm working on it, though. So what is happiness? I mean, okay, there's over 50. I think there's 50 hormones in the human body. But I don't know them all. I've got a lot of them written down, and I've studied a lot of them. And they're... Okay, we'll say. That was a long-ass pause. Okay, the main ones that I would recognize, like that I've studied, that I think, and there may be more that that they're pretty substantial, but I don't know. Serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline, those ones. Like oxytocin, they call it the love hormone. And I don't fully understand that hormone. I know that hormone is the one that's released when a woman's having a baby. It's what allows her to contract, to force a baby out. Mm-hmm. But in men, it makes us want to make a woman stop crying, like do whatever to make it stop crying. You hear a baby crying, like we panic. It creates that panic, like, oh my God. You know, we get oxytocin's released in us when, you know, we're like, oh shit, let's just make it stop.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna kill that dog. Dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline is an easy one. I get a little bit confused between dopamine and serotonin. Mm-hmm. 'Cause I'm no expert.
Right.
I just know these are the things that's happening in our brain, body, or whatever. So happiness would be some combination of. I'm sorry. Can you cut right here? Happiness would be. I got to come back to that. So we're talking about hormones. What was we talking about?
Happiness.
Happiness. So happiness is some form of happiness. It depends to what degree how happy you are. Did you just win a new car? Did you just get a new job? Mm-hmm. Did you just get laid? You know, or you're about to get laid? That'd probably be even better. You know, your happiness would be a lot higher before you get laid than after. You know. So that would be some mixture of serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. I would even say cortisol. That's another one. That's a really important one. So if that's happiness, what is depression? What is unhappiness?
It's a hard question.
Well, I think it's a lack of those hormones. Mm-hmm. Okay? So to feel happy, your body has to reward you for doing something good.
Yeah.
Right. For being a productive member of society, for helping some lady with her tire, or being there for someone when they need you most, volunteering for your church. I don't give a shit. There's two reasons we do everything. There's two reasons: validational or transactional. Right. So if I pay you to mow my grass, that was transactional. If you mowed my grass just because you wanted to, that's validational. You're doing it to be validated because you want to feel appreciated. You want to do something nice for someone. And just for mowing for free, for doing that good thing, your body rewards you by releasing dopamine. The goal, it's like a goal thing, you know. Dopamine's one of those things that make you feel good about yourself.
Right.
So, or you can take a pill, and that pill would release it too.
Yeah.
So that's why they say MDMA, is that what it's called? Is a Suicide Tuesday drug? Molly. So they say it's a Suicide Tuesday drug because what it does is it depletes your resources. It just floods your brain with all these hormones, all these chemicals, and you wake up. I mean, say Saturday night you partied, and by Tuesday you haven't felt anything. You feel nothing. You're numb, and that's why people would kill themselves, because they've depleted all the resources that were available to make them smile, to make them feel good, to give them hope. All these emotions that we try to describe are emotions that were made from a mixture of chemicals. Yeah. And if you deplete all of those, then it's going to be difficult to be happy. So, and here's the problem. If you don't have a good diet, where do you think these fucking hormones come from?
Right.
Nuts, cabbage, greens, beef. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have a good diet to refill these glands that are holding these hormones. So if you're not healthy, like if you're going to be a drug addict, you better be a damn healthy one, because depression. That's why the high's never as good the second time, they say, was because you would take a long time to get those hormones back to where they would release that much. You got to do so much to get that same high. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely, yeah.
So what is depression? I think unhappiness is nothing more than a lack of those hormones. Like if to be happy is to have them, to be unhappy is not to have them. So what the fuck do I need to do in my life to get these fuckers flowing again?
What causes that though? If it's not any kind of drug and something, if it's just a normal person going through life, why is it just they're just born with there maybe a receptor in their brain?
Oh, I wouldn't even try to diagnose that one. You're saying someone that has an issue. I think that I was actually thinking about this last night. It's funny you said that. Was it last night? I went to go get Taco Bell. Maybe it was not before last. Yeah, not before last. I was in Taco Bell line, and I was thinking about humans, the arrogance of a human to think that they should experiment on something as advanced as the human body. Like, this is one amazing piece of equipment. I think of the human body, the host that we call the human body, as an avatar. Right. It's like an avatar, and our soul, our personality, our identity. You know, Jackson and Nathan are just this little thing. We're one of many passengers in this host you call Nathan. You're like, I'm just one. Like, each cell has one purpose, and that's to protect, to extend the life of the host. And it'll sacrifice itself to do that. If it doesn't, it turns into cancer, and it'll kill the host. So, you know, that's why we ain't talking about life and death and the importance of life and death. But anyways, I was thinking about the human body and how fascinatingly efficient it is if it's not abused.
Right.
And you asked me, so I was thinking, how many people you could say deformed in a way that their chemicals or I don't fully understand it all. But, you know, I think it's kind of rare. I think it gets misdiagnosed and abused a lot. Medication is 1,000% abused. No one would argue with that unless it's them taking the medication and they'd be like, no, I need it. Yeah. Maybe. I'm not debating that. You know, I know plenty of people on medications, and I wonder, I'm not saying they're right, wrong. I don't know. I'm wondering, have we made a mistake? And what if going backpacking and spending the night in the woods, or just walking on a trail long enough that you forgot about the problems of life? It could take 15 minutes. It could take 15 miles. I'm not sure. I just know that getting out of the chaos of every day, trying to compete with the Joneses, trying to pay for something you don't need. I think that's one thing about you. That's one thing that's different about you and Brennan. You know, don't really get too wrapped up into the egoic. Is that a word? Egoic?
It can be.
Isn't it? It's a word now. You know, our ego controls us.
Yeah.
And, man, this is all fascinating because I'm sure whoever's listening is probably fucking lost, and I don't blame them. But all these things are connected. It's like we diagnose symptoms.
Yeah.
Okay, so we troubleshoot symptoms. So in the maintenance world, if you're troubleshooting a symptom, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time. Doctors are troubleshooters, is the way I see it. Their job is to get to the root cause of your problem, not just treating symptoms. When you have the flu or COVID-19, you can treat the symptoms, but there's nothing else you can do. You can try to make them feel better in the meantime.
Yeah.
Make good choices, drink a lot of water. Like, that's all you can really do. But the other stuff, psychology, health, like, they're constantly given a pill to treat a symptom. Look, why are you in this situation to begin with is the fucking problem. And that's where I really struggle with doctors today. I think they're fucking lazy, and I think they're influenced by drug companies to push a product that they get, ultimately, they benefit by pushing it. And it bothers me really, really bad. I think that there's going to be a flip side to this. I mean, what we've accomplished in medicine is fascinating. I love medicine. I just think it's lazy people just experiment. I think ultimately, you know, I think people are being experimented on, to be honest.
I believe it.
Until you understand why you're dealing with what you're dealing with, what and how. That's why I was talking about before we even started these books. These books teach you what and how. What and how doesn't even fucking matter until you know why you're in the circumstances you're in, whether we're talking about psychological issues, health issues. Once you understand why, what and how is simple. Then you can turn to the books and be like, what do I need to do now that I know what the fuck's wrong with me?
Right.
I was molested. I have a bad diet. I don't spend enough. I spend too much time worried about what other people think of me. Therefore, and because of that, I work this insane work week. I focus all my energy on impressing other people. I mean, it all goes back to the same shit. It's what's fucking sad about it. I've just realized how simple I am as a species. Like, I think human beings are ultimately, it's fucked up. Like, we all suffer from the same thing. And I don't even know if I want to go down there. Like, I don't know if this is the podcast to kind of discover some of these things. I think we can talk about maybe our discoveries, but those are rabbit holes that maybe we'll just be sitting here just like fucking exhausted afterwards. I don't even know if I want to go down them, but I'm not.
It gets complicated once you start talking
Dude, it's so complicated. I was sitting there saying how simple we are. Like, we're so shallow. You got to ask why. Yeah. Like, well, why are we shallow? You know, and well, we're born as a narcissistic creature. And we were debating last night, I think, over what narcissism is. And, you know, the definition of it was the guy that's seen his reflection, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if I even want to go down this, but ultimately narcissism is giving a fuck what other people think about you. You know, it's ultimately caring. It's your ego. It's like, and we all are narcissistic. But we should spend our life shedding these things and becoming less as we get older. And I know we got way fucking sidetracked, and maybe I'll cut all this out of there because we were really trying to understand why the importance of going out into nature. How is that important? And we were trying to figure out why other people don't. I don't know, and I think I want to shut the fuck up and give you about 10 minutes to talk, so maybe I can rediscover what we started with. But did anything I say make sense?
Yes. Absolutely.
It's hard, though.
No, I know. Especially once you're talking about, like, things that, you know, maybe we all deal with, but no one talks about. Or some that we all go through and experience and no one talks about, and they kind of keep that to themselves. And I've never really understood that. And I can't call anything specific to mine right now, of course. But, you know, you get a certain feeling, and you get worked up about that maybe, but you know, everybody deals with that, but no one talks about it. And that's just, why not, you know?
That's what I'm saying. We're shallow. Like, we're all dealing with the exact same shit, and that's another reason this podcast, literally, this has been said before. If we would just all talk about it and be vulnerable, you know, practice. It takes practice. I'm having to practice to be vulnerable. I'm getting really good at it, too, because I'm shedding my ego. I keep telling people, I think we're 10,000 years away. That's my number. We're 10,000 years away from evolving out of an ego. And I don't, this is why it's hard for me, because we're literally trying to carry on a conversation about the importance of backpacking. And here I am talking about evolving as a species. But I go into.
It goes together, though, you know.
It all goes together. It's all connected. Right. I have to practice not trying to connect every fucking dot in one conversation. Like, I have nothing to prove here. Like, I mean, but literally when you say those things, it takes me to a place and I'm like, oh God, that's what a utopia. That's why, you know, a utopia won't work. Like, what is a utopia? And then I want to get into capitalism and why, you know what I mean? I'm trying to understand the importance of politics, you know? Like, we're talking about balance. We could go down to politics, and I would never debate anybody about politics. I would love to discuss the philosophy or the importance of it or why it exists or why sides exist anyways, you know? Like, what would happen if there was a third party? It may completely destroy the entire system. It may create an imbalance. Like, maybe it's not these brains in control that people think, oh, it's the oligarchy. Is that what they call them? You know, they're in control of everything and they're dividing us. And it sounds amazing. I just don't think any human beings are that intelligent. I think us as a hive mind, us as a species, I think not Mother Nature, but this thing, I don't know what else to call it other than maybe a hive mind. It's like, there's an imbalance and it automatically gets corrected. Yeah. And the pendulum swings left, the pendulum swings right. Right now, you know, when I say right, you could say right wing. When it swings left, you could say left wing. And it's very important that it stays somewhere closer to the middle. Because if it goes too far right, you end up with Hitler. If it swings too far left, you end up with someone with like Mao. Right. And Mao studied under Karl Marx. You know, I mean, people don't know all these things, but Russia is when it swings too far left. That's when the balance. That's when the balance is fucked, and they kill 300 million Chinese fucker. No, it's 300,000 people. No, is it 300 million? 300 million people was murdered under Mao. Like, we don't know that. How many people died? 6 million Jews? 7 million Jews? That's too far. That's when it goes too far right. So I guess you could think of tyranny. Tyranny, I guess. Isn't tyranny like control? A tyrannical government, it's like suppressive. So a tyrannical government would be too much order. Right? And then chaos would be the other one. You know, they're both, you got to have a little bit of both, but not to each extreme.
Yeah.
We're still talking about balance. And that's why everything to me, no matter what we're discussing, it all goes back to balance. Like, and I think the planet is capable of balancing itself out. The species does a really good job of balance. I think that's the importance of a virus, you know, to balance it out. You know, I'm not. That'll piss off a lot of people, but whatever.
Bubonic
plague. I didn't make it. Yeah. I didn't make these fucking things. I think it was, you know, you could call it God. You could call it Mother Nature, the Earth that says, listen, too many of you motherfuckers right here. You don't know how to wipe your ass right. Here's the black fucking plague, you know, hygiene. And it killed, I don't know how many people, but it balanced it out.
Right.
And if it didn't, then we would be so fucking overpopulated.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for natural disasters.
Yeah. No, I agree.
We literally tried to have a conversation about the importance of getting the fuck away from your job and going out and hiking. And here we are into these ridiculous, I mean, they're not ridiculous. Each one should be discussed on its own. And maybe we can dial it in, and maybe we can talk about the importance of going into nature and like how that could or why it helps. You know, maybe that's the important thing, because that's really what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I think.
Something like that.
I feel like a dick.
No, man, I'm listening. I'm learning right now. This is great.
I'm exploring, so you got to put the fucking brakes on me. I mean, Jesus, I'm gonna be passed out over here on the floor from a lack of oxygen if I keep going.
You said something about like people taking medication and stuff, and I've talked with a couple friends of mine, just because everybody suffers with something. Like, I don't know one person that I've talked to that hasn't at some point ended up telling me about some kind of anxiety or depression they've had. And a good buddy of mine I had a talk with, and we both just kind of came to the conclusion of, like, you know, would it be better if we did get on some kind of antidepressants? Is that the right thing to do, or would it be better to, you know, I'm feeling away right now and it may be a little rough, but I'm gonna try and you know, maybe do some soul searching and figure out what I need to better myself.
I'm so glad you went here.
Thank you. But I don't know.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Which one would you think you lean towards most, depression or anxiety?
I don't know. It's, for me, well,
let's identify what depression and anxiety is. Like, these are things that people, I have depression, but what is depression? Like, so let's identify what depression is. What's the difference between them?
Depression doesn't go away, I think.
Okay. That's a good analogy. Anxiety is
a feeling. You know, you get anxious before you go public speaking. You go home, you take a bath. Anxiety. That's really good. Gone.
What else? That's really good. I never heard anybody say that. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What else about what?
What's the difference? What else is the difference? Like, I mean, I think there's more to it than that.
So,
like, where do you think it comes from?
A lot of things.
Okay.
You know, and it's probably different for every person, but a lot of it's probably most people have, even if they have a great childhood, there's certain things that you just, like childhood trauma is just common, you know, and that could have something to do with it. I also think that the way our country and just society in general is set up, not too much only in the U.S., but I just feel like it's kind of bland how we're living right now. Yeah. Especially in Murfreesboro. I mean, it's not much excitement. There's not a lot to look forward to when you're going out just day to day.
I want to get back on depression and anxiety, but again, we can talk about hormones. If we agree that happiness is a release of hormones, well, why do those hormones get released? Who's releasing them? It's not you.
Right.
You may be the reason why something is or is not getting released, but it isn't you. You don't decide when, okay, give me some fucking dopamine. I can take a pill. Yeah. Like I can force it out, but like your body, this system, this machine, this highly intelligent machine that doesn't need you to breathe or blink or react or save you in a fight. It's not you. You ain't doing shit. Yeah. Like people black the fuck out and don't have any memory of experiences. But the body was capable of doing its own thing. Like it can take over you, shut you the fuck down. Matter of fact, create other versions of you, like personalities. People have multiple personalities and have no idea. Does that make sense?
No,
like the human body is a fucking amazing machine. Is the way I say it. I see the human body as a machine that we get the privilege of being in charge of. And I said that to say, happiness is a release, a mixture of these hormones, these chemicals. So what is it? What is required for those to be released?
Well, first and foremost, full belly, warm, your thirst is quenched, and
basic needs.
Basic needs.
That's good. I'm glad you said that.
Thing, I would say.
So I think the reason why people in third world countries smile a lot, you see these little kids with a stick and a bicycle wheel, a happy motherfucker. They're damn naked running down the road. They ain't on the goddamn shoes. Right. You know what I mean? They're wearing an Adidas shirt from the 1979 and they're just happy motherfuckers. Why are they happier than we are? And they got nothing.
I think they're more in touch with what matters, you know?
I would agree.
It's more of a... I think a lot of people that aren't in country, you know, third world country stuff, we're more worried about like what everyone thinks instead of, okay, is my father gonna like live today? He's kind of sick. I don't, you know, like that kind of thing. Or, you know, are we gonna be eating today? Is my family healthy? Are they okay?
I like it. I like it. I think about this. We have everything. So for us to feel good, it requires a lot.
Right.
Like it's very difficult for us that have everything to feel the sensation of happiness. Because, I mean, if I got a brand new car, what can trump that? A drug.
Working on that car. If you're looking in terms of the levels of happiness, say you buy that car, you get that dopamine. What now? Well, now maybe you buy a new mod for it, you put it on there, you're working on it, have a
what
good
now?
day.
And you keep, but it's always what now? We're a civilization of consumers. That's how we release our dopamine. We buy our dopamine by purchasing, right? Those instant satisfaction, those instant gratification. I look at it like this. If you could see it on a scale. I will still talk about that. I want to talk about the difference between the third world country kid and my kid. Especially kids that are given everything. I feel fucking terrible for them, man.
Yeah.
Like, what do they have to do to release dopamine? What do they have to do? Cure fucking cancer?
Yeah.
They've got everything. You know what I mean? These kids running around miserable. And I know parents thought they were doing the right thing. You know, I want to give my kid more than I had. But if you only knew what made you happy as a kid was the struggle, the earning it. You earn something is what gives you dopamine. If you earn something, it looks like this. There's an arc in life, right? If you're given something, the dopamine looks like this. Instant spike.
Yeah.
I play the lotto, I won $20, I feel excited, and it goes away just as fast as you got it. Imagine you earned that $20. It takes time because you have an overall goal of wanting to earn $20 as a kid. So the way you get it is to accomplish little goals every day, and each goal is a small hit of dopamine. So if you earn it over time, like to have these long game goals, playing the long game. I'm always playing the long game. because like my overall goals take fucking time, and it takes so much effort, and each day I get a little hit of dopamine for accomplishing that. But if I just went out, if somebody just gave it to me, gave me an opportunity, I would have this insane fucking spike. You know, people that go viral?
Yeah.
I think that's the most dangerous thing in the world, is for somebody to be going viral. When somebody goes viral overnight and has this hit record that went from being normal to the top, and they lose it. Like, why are people like, dude, how do you, I think this is the secret to life. You want to minimize the highs and the lows. Mm-hmm. Like, fucking lows are low, man. When your highs are as high as a celebrity, your lows are really fucking low. Yeah. But if you're a normal human being like me and you, I think our goal is to go through life having pretty nice highs. Lows are important, man. That's the yin yang. You got to have both. Right. Chaos, order, right? Yeah. But you don't want those extremes. That's super fucking unhealthy. That's why people are killing themselves, man. That's why people are on every drug. They're alcoholics because they're trying to minimize the lack of hormones. It's fascinating. But I see this kid that has nothing, that's fucking starving to death. You hand him a stick of gum, he gets a dopamine hit from that. You know how good he feels just from that little bitty thing. Like, it's crazy. I was saying all that to say the difference between, I guess I was talking about, you know, all of us have everything. I think we're fucked. I think if the whole thing shut down and we went back to a tribal system to where we bartered, we helped one another to survive. Yeah. Like COVID-19 for me was kind of exciting because it was more like the 80s, like people getting together and just communicating. You know, I felt like people got so bored on their phone that they couldn't go out and get that, you know, but once we had a moment that we could get together, it felt like the 80s, like just hanging out. And I know you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but it was like a different sensation for a lot of us. It felt like, I don't know, it was a human connection was really important there for a while.
That's something else that when you're talking about happiness and anxiety and depression, I cannot imagine how much of that's got to be just from social media. I mean, sometimes I get on there and feel my mood get worse, and just like,
this is what I do for a living, and I can't stand. My kids don't have any form of social media, like they don't have it other than Dakota has it for business, for work, but my other sons don't. They don't give a shit. I think Brennan has Snapchat. That's just to talk to you guys. They're so much happier. My kids are so much happier. And look, I didn't tell them they couldn't have it. I just didn't encourage them to get it. They're very confident kids. They're very happy kids. So they're not seeking this instant gratification. Do I have 20 likes? Like, I suffer from that. Yeah. Like, oh shit, 7 people like this video. You're fucking stupid, man. It released a little dopamine. It gave me that quick spike, which went away just as fast. That's why I love to earn something over time, to build something huge, like have these crazy big goals, because you have to accomplish small goals to get there. Right. So you get these long, so it lasts longer. It's a smoother. You don't want this. Yeah. That's why people are fucking diagnosed with being bipolar. They get an instant hit of satisfaction, and it goes away, and they're like, why am I unhappy? I'm only happy for a fucking second. Yeah. Well, did you earn it, man? You know what I'm saying? Did you fucking earn it, or was it given to you?
Yeah. So do you think that, like, to be happy, you have to attain some kind of goal, you know? Or
to be happy consistently? Well, there's no such thing as being, okay, so if here's the baseline, we should be doing a cycle, above and below. It should look like an AC sine waves, positive, negative, balance. Right. Because if you've ever climbed a mountain, it's boring when it's fucking flat. Yeah. What you do is drop off, right? You drop down into the fucking valleys, and then you're like, God damn it, sorry, I can't be saying that no more. I said I was going to stop saying that. You got to drop down in these valleys, and you look up, and you're like, son of a bitch, I've got to climb that. And it's weird. That's the way I see it. When you're depressed, I see that as depression almost. You can't see any hope. You can't see where you're going. You can't see where you've been. You're just kind of stuck in a rut. But you start climbing. And then before you know it, you've come to the peak. And now you can see infinitely. You can see your future. You can see your past. You're freaking ecstatic. and it's a time, it's that order and chaos. I think that's why I loved backpacking, because as much as I hated going up that hill, when I fucking got to the top, my body was releasing dopamine. That's what happened when I would get done with a 2-day hike. My body rewarded me because I was giving back to my body. I was giving it exercise, and it was saying, thank you, here's some more dopamine, go do this again. The whole time I was hiking, I'm saying, I'm never coming back to this fucking hill. I'm never doing this trail again. Miserable. Literally, I've done hikes through the Smokies where I lost my mind, where I was just, you couldn't stop because I would have got hypothermia. You're 7,000 feet in the damn air, and the clouds are blowing past you at 40 miles an hour. It's clouds. It's white. Stink. You know what I mean? And you just keep going. And you're asking yourself, why in the fuck did I do this? But then when you finally get settled and your body starts to come back to, you start to come back to your body, I guess. You're like, holy shit, I fucking did that, man. And then you get done with a hike and you're just on cloud fucking 9. You could eat a soybean burger and that'd be the best damn soybean burger. I pump water out of mud holes, right? And I filter it. I'll like try to get the mud out and let the water seep back. Because you got to drink. You can't carry 10 gallons of water. I carry like a quart. Right. And then I find water and I filter it. And you're just amazed at how good water tastes when you get back. And you don't have to pump it. You don't have to dig through rocks to get to it. You become a third world state of mind where you had to earn the things you got. And then you appreciate it so much more. And I think that's why backpacking things, hard hobbies, are so important, because it just makes you appreciate simple things in life. Yeah. And I think that's why, for me, backpacking was so valuable to me, because I'd come back and for a week I was ecstatic. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, it was a hard way to release my chemicals, but they lasted a long time. Right. That's why I won't gamble. Well, it's why I won't do drugs, because I understand what is happening chemically. The reason why I don't do drugs, or my kids don't do drugs, dopamine-inducing drugs. I don't know what they're. Anyways, the reason why I'm not into those things, because I don't want to manipulate the things that make me happy and sad. I want to create opportunities to release that by helping someone. To be happy, is a lot of things. Human connection, gratitude, and what is gratitude. I really wanted to go. We can go into gratitude, and I think what gratitude is the sensation of being loved. I think there's something far more important than loving someone, and that is being loved. Like, loving someone is not near as fucking powerful as feeling loved. Like, that's a mind fuck if you try to understand the difference.
Yeah. I think it can be, though. What? Loving somebody.
Oh, yeah. But I don't think the comparison is the same. Okay, say I love someone and they don't love me. That is infatuation.
And I don't even mean in that sense, but I feel like sometimes there's a lot of people that don't get love. And just, I don't know, that act can change people's lives sometimes.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. We're agreeing. Giving them the sensation of being loved. Yeah. Right? Okay, so we love to be loved. Right. I help you to feel appreciated. At the moment I help you, you feel loved. And I'll use that word. I'm not afraid to fucking say it, because that's what it is. It's what we're all chasing, to be loved. At the end of the fucking day, human connection, human emotion. It's not just about sex. It's not just about all these things. I mean, yeah, procreation is, that's the bottom line, right. But there's so much more to it than just that. It's human connection. That's it. That's everything we're doing is we love to be loved. I do for you. I show up to help you change a tire at 3 a.m. because I want to? Fuck no. I want to lay in bed and sleep. The problem is the body says, you're a dickhead. Here's you some cortisol, asshole. Lay there. Sleep with that. So the body starts releasing cortisol because you're not being productive. You're not being a helpful member of society. So that's why you lay there and feel like shit. You feel guilty. So you say, fuck it, I don't want to feel guilty. I'm on my way. As soon as you get there, the person realizes you thought enough of them to come help. They feel loved. And from that, You see that in their expression. You see how much they appreciate you. Now you feel loved. And it's this fucking reciprocating cycle of compassion, and you know what I mean? It's a really fascinating thing. It's why we like to help people, ultimately, is to be loved. And we can keep going on it, but I definitely want to get into anxiety and depression because we kind of lost our thing there.
Okay.
What do you think about that concept?
Which one?
The one about gratitude. I think that's the secret to my happiness. It's why I'm a happy motherfucker.
I think it is mine too. And not only, not to toot my own horn, but I just, I feel better when I help people.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
If you, I'm not trying to take anything away from people, but you're not volunteering for a church because it's the right thing to do. No, it's the right thing to do for your health, because by giving, you will receive. I think that's the secret. People think that I have a motivation sometimes for wanting to be helpful. I do. And it's because I want to feel appreciated. I want to help somebody get where they're going because I get so much satisfaction out of it. Yeah. I don't want a monetary compensation. I just by helping you believe in yourself, I'm saying you people in general, right, wanting to help people is like, I feel like I've done my part in society. I've helped advance the species, right? By showing people they can do this too, or they can get into photography, or they can start a podcast. Like, I will give you all the secrets. I never hide anything. I want everyone to know how I've accomplished everything in life because it's my purpose to be a productive member of society, to help advance the species, right? To help sustain. It's the whole purpose of your cell is to protect the host, right? Every cell in the human body has one job, and that's to take care of the host, right? And I think of us as humans as the cells here on the planet. Like, we're trying to take care of the species as the host. The planet is the host. And our job as a cell is to do the best we can. But once we stop becoming a productive member of society, we die. You retire, you die very quickly if you do not keep producing. And the reason why, the body starts giving elevated levels of cortisol because you're not being productive. If you wonder why you feel like shit because you feel that anxiety, right? It's because you should get up and fucking do this. Your body's releasing cortisol saying, go, do that. And then once you do it, it says, hey, fucker, I told you, here's some dopamine, bitch, enjoy, right?
What part are you stopping you, though? What's the thing that's keeping you from
that's good. That's a good fucking question. I think a lot about desire, and that's a complicated concept. I don't have all these things figured out, which is why we're still talking about it. If I had them all figured out, I'd just die. I would just roll over and put myself out of my misery and make room for someone else. But because I'm still don't know what desire is or how to manifest it, I don't know. It's a very, I don't know. And I suffer from a lot of anxiety because I don't want to do this little thing that I couldn't tell you. I've done something so stupid that wouldn't have cost me a dime, right? If I would have just taken care of this one little thing, and it ended up costing me $10,000. $10,000 because I was procrastinating. I didn't feel like doing it. Like, my biggest struggle in life is doing shit that I don't want to do. Like, if you tell me I got to do it, I'm fine with it. I'll do it. If you make me do it, I'm happy to do it. That's why I talk about boundaries being so important. And if you take away people's boundaries and you let them be a free society, go fuck off, live in a utopia. No, it's utter chaos and people will kill themselves. Like, it's just not functioning. We just haven't evolved enough to be able to live without borders and boundaries. I like to find out where the edge is, though. I like to figure out how far I can go before they say, nope, stop. Because we're explorers. I talk about that a lot. But, man, this is all really cool. I mean, I've probably lost everybody listening, and they're probably like, what the fuck is he on? But I get really excited about these things because they're so fucking complicated. We're simple, but these ideas are so complicated that you can't hold them. Like we're so simple, we can't. People talk about ADD. I can have 3 thoughts at once. Fuck off. You're full of shit. You can hyper focus on one thing, right? You are just so fixated. You're looking through a damn straw. Like, that's the only thing there is. You don't hear anybody talking. But the minute something more interesting comes along, and you're there. Yeah. But it's about hyper focusing on something. And I'm saying our thought process is like we're looking at, remember that thing, that film? You ever seen that in movies where film like goes by, right? And you see an image, right? And like, I guess libraries were this way. You could read news articles and it was in film. Yeah. And I think maybe that's how we process information. We can't, like, there's all these stars, but you can only focus on one. That's one thing that's beautiful, even with eyesight. You can't focus on multiple things at once. Like, you can look at the end of this bar, right? But this is out of focus.
Right.
Yours is out of focus. Whatever you're looking at, whatever you're focusing on, everything else is out of focus. That's called depth of field. And here's the deal. The closer you get to it, the closer you focus on this, the less everything else is in focus. Try it. Practice it. Focus on the edge of your thing. Right? You have to get into a place that you can focus, and everything's out of focus, right? That's called depth of field. Meaning the more you're concentrating on something, the harder it is to see all that other shit. Like, it's that's how a camera works. It's pretty cool how a camera works. That's what depth of field is. And I think that's how we process information. And that's why I end up going from one thing to the next, because it kind of got in my field of view. I'm like, no, yes, and that's how you get what I'm saying? That's how my brain, I think it's how all of our brains work. But it's really hard for me to see this and travel and follow this chain of thought, because I've connected everything in my mind. Like, I see it as a cobweb.
Yeah.
When I look at my ideas, it's a cobweb of connections. You know, I'm not saying I see a matrix and fuck all that. I'm just saying, I can go from one thing to the next very easily, and it sucks because I wished I could just kind of sit back and say, oh, what if I put this, you just can't see things that way. That's what makes it hard for us. We're such a simple species that it's really hard for us to understand these things. That's why that's why we struggle so much. It's really, really hard to see multiple things at once.
Yeah.
I'd never had that thought before. This is the first time I ever had that thought, just so you know. Did that make any sense at all?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Probably not. Maybe I need to render that one down a little bit further.
No, it's okay. You said a lot. I'm just catching up.
Well, I was talking about struggling, staying on a topic. Right. I keep wanting to go back to depression and anxiety, and but all these other things,
Well, they are all connected, though.
They all are. Do you want to go back to anxiety and depression, the difference? Because I think it's important.
Okay.
Because you was asking about it. And maybe all the shit that we've talked about may help explain those things. And the difference between anxiety and depression. And I didn't discover this. A fellow by the name of Eckhart Tolle is a really smart dude. And he had a book called The Power of Now, which would be the opposite of anxiety and depression.
I think I've heard of that book.
Oh, have you? He talks about depression as the past, everything in which you have not resolved from your past, things in which come back to haunt you. That would be depression. Unresolved issues that keep lingering, and you focus on things that you can't change, right? That's depression. And anxiety is the future, thinking about things that will never be, worrying. There's very little value in worrying. I try not to do it. I try to block it. And that is anxiety. Worrying about, shoulda, coulda, woulda, it's insanity to worry about something that doesn't exist. Yeah. The only reality, the only thing that's real is this conversation right now. The words that are coming out of our mouth are the only thing that's real, because 1 minute ago, fake, doesn't exist. It's the past. I can't change it. Trying to change it, depression. Learning to accept it, good. Understand why it happened to begin with, fine. But keep asking, what am I going to do? How am I going to fix it? Fucking, you're in a negative feedback loop. It's called a positive feedback loop or whatever. I call it a negative feedback loop. You're pissing in the wind. You'll never be able to change it. Worrying about something that has happened and having regret, depression. Worrying about 5 minutes from now, anxiety. And that's the one I suffer from. I worry about 30 minutes from now. Never 3 years, 3 days, 3 minutes, or whatever, 3 hours. I worry about just right here in front of me, and I get anxious over that shit. And I got to learn to beat it.
Do you have you looked into, like, there's certain things a buddy of mine has said, like, you know, you call out things you see in a room and you're just like, okay, there's a desk, got a speaker, there's a monitor, and that's supposed to just kind of get you more in the moment. There's a bunch.
But do you know why?
Why?
But do you know why? Think about it.
Why it helps? Or,
yeah. If you can understand why, you would understand.
I feel like it just gets you to focus on what's in front of you instead of in your head.
That's it. So what I use is breathing, and I learned that from Wim Hof. It's the most difficult thing I've ever done, and you've heard your whole life. You just gotta go. You just gotta breathe before someone goes on stage. Breathe. That's what they tell you, but they don't tell you why that's important. Ultimately, you're focusing on breathing is the hardest thing I've ever tried to do. To focus on a breath, all the way in, all the way out. Just do that 30 times. Good luck. Yeah. From all the way in, try to hyperventilate almost and count them. You'll kind of start to lose track because it's really, really hard. But the cool thing is, just by taking 30 deep breaths, you'll have completely forgot about the thing that was causing the anxiety. And what is anxiety? It's an increase in cortisol. It's an increase. And so the way cortisol starts, it starts in your stomach. That's the first telltale signs that cortisol is being released. It's restricting the blood vessels around your stomach. Right. And it's making a burning sensation. And then if it gets worse, it goes up to where it just shuts your brain down and you can't process a fucking thought. Right. You know, it's very difficult. So just focusing on a breathing, it's been amazing. I've had situations that I couldn't have even communicated with somebody like, I can't talk to anyone right now. Yeah, I am fucked up. And they're just trying to remember to breathe is hard too. Like that's really hard when your brain's not working good, but it takes practice. Yeah. If I'm having to practice all the time, like, oh yeah, I need to breathe and just find a moment. And I've heard that my whole life. You just got to breathe, man. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. You breathe long enough that you forget what you were anxious over. You forget that it was even a problem. You're just trying to break this chain, this thought process. And I think that's the secret. Okay, you got me thinking about something. We don't get to choose how we feel. We don't choose the emotions we're exposed to. We don't get to choose the thoughts we have. Those are presented to us. We get to choose how long we feel a certain way, and we get to choose how much we want to invest in a thought. But those things that are presented to us, whether it be from an outside source or your brain says, hey, what about this, dickhead? You know, you're not smart enough. What if you fumble on your words? And then we start feeding it. And I call it the ego. Somebody else calls it the ego, and I just accepted their terminology. They describe the ego as the thing that's there to represent all of your insecurities. That's all it's there for. And the ego is this thing that would play a video, because our imagination is generating images that aren't real. They're fabrications of our imagination, right? Thinking about, what will I say tonight? Am I going to fuck up this date? Am I going to script this job interview? You know, whatever the circumstance is, our ego is playing like a movie in our head. And it's going to keep fucking playing until we have a moment of clarity. And I think that is our moment that we say, stop. I got to quit feeding it. It's like you're giving this fucking machine quarters, just making this video. What people do is they keep feeding it. They keep thinking about it. They go, oh yeah, I'm out of it for a second. Maybe they got distracted by a conversation, but they go right back. And they're just tuned into this fucking fake fantasy. Have you ever seen it? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like we all daydream about these. It ain't even daydream. Daydream is important. That's like reflecting on beautiful things. But anxiety is, what if this, it's just fucking insanity, man, to feed this fake narrative, this thing that's there to set you up for failure, to make you feel like a piece of shit. And I think the secret to it is not stopping it from ever happening. You don't get to, like I said, you don't get to choose how you feel. You get to choose how long you feel that way. So if you see a moment, and it takes fucking practice, every time something is presented to me that's a negative, that has negative value, if I ever see a moment that I can stop it, breathing. Holy shit. And then I just start focusing on my breaths until I realize, oh, I'm out of it. And it's fucking crazy. Once you snap out of it, it's gone. Right. It's like, fuck, I beat it. I think where everybody else goes wrong is they play that video of their past, which is depression, and they end up killing themselves. And anxiety is, very similar. They just keep feeding that fucking coins, make the pitcher play.
Yeah. What you were talking about breathing and how that's kind of how you cope with it and help yourself. Have you ever heard of positive reframing?
Mm-mm.
So basically, every time you have one of those your negative thoughts that you can't get out of your head, positive reframing is basically you'd take that thought. So, I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. So, this is a little morbid.
I don't know. I'm in it.
But
I'm in. Whatever you got, man. I don't
you
give a
got
fuck.
dogs, right?
Yeah.
Your dogs bark. They annoy you. Well, now one day, a dog runs away, right? That's bad. You're sad. But positive reframe would be, okay, well now the dog's gone and so is the barking. And it's basically a way to turn, if you have a lot of negative thoughts, to try and turn that around and at least break the momentum of,
I love it. Yeah, I think, some people use a tennis ball. Some people work out. I think the gym is... I think a lot of people go to the gym to break the cycle, just to get a break in life or backpack.
Yeah.
I think all these things are important. I think the thing is that people need to find a trick. Everything's a trick in life. Everything's a fucking trick. And if you could find a trick that breaks negative habits and stuff, I think that is the trick. Is find something that works for you and try it all. I don't give a fuck if you're going to squeeze a tennis ball. Call a friend, whatever you can do to stop. Don't feed this fucking ego, though, man. Quit feeding that thing that's wanting you to blow your fucking brains out, or wanting you to go get drunk, or wanting you to, do whatever to make it stop. Just find another way. And I don't think it's pills. I don't think that's it, man. But also, why are you thinking about this anyways? Why am I suffering from anxiety? Well, because I'm doing things that I shouldn't be doing. I'm living a lifestyle that's too complicated. I need to reduce the stress in my life. I need to reduce. I took on too much. I need to say, But people are afraid to let go of things. People are terrified to let go of. I've invested too much to quit now. The relationship. People are afraid to leave a relationship. In the same way, they're afraid to sell an item. They get connected. They're afraid to let it go. And I think, man, something's causing you a negative. There's you know what I mean? Yeah. If you could determine that is the thing that's generating negative emotions, negative vibes,
right.
Stop investing. Invest in something else.
Me and a buddy had a talk the other day, basically about that. Just he was saying how he's more likely to, within a friendship, they can fuck up, and he's like, I'll give you chances because I want chances. But I feel like I'm more of, like, I will give you grace. But as soon as it's becoming bad for me to be your friend, that's when that's it. And just cut that out.
It's funny. If you'd heard the last episode, I see everything as an investment. Whether it's an investment of money, time, effort. Somebody said to me yesterday, we're talking about this deal they got in. They described it as, well, I tried this thing, and you know what, man, I screwed up. I shouldn't have done it. I disagreed 100%. I said, no, you should have done it. You learn from it. That's chaos. That's where we learn. Yeah. The secret, good investors are they are not afraid to invest in something or someone, but they're smart enough to know when it becomes a bad investment. And someone that you invested in could have been a good investment at one point in life. But the moment they're consuming more than they're producing in the relationship, if they're always taking, whether it be emotions or, they need, whatever, let's just call it a relationship. In his case, doesn't matter. In his case, he invested his effort into something, and he realized, oh, it's a bad investment. And he got out. I said, you're a fucking genius. I mean, you're a genius. Like, that's the secret. You don't be afraid to invest in something or someone. Be smart enough to realize, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Bad investment. don't stick around. Don't try to make it work. Just invest your effort, time, energy, whatever, emotions in something else or someone else. I think that's the secret. Invest in everything that sounds intriguing, but be really quick to pull it out. Say, nope, I deserve it over here. Like if I feel anything that ain't quite right, nothing wrong with them, nothing wrong with you. Just a bad combination.
Right.
Shouldn't be together, right? Invest somewhere else. People take everything so personally, though. But everybody else says, no, I've invested too much to quit now. Like, you're going to lose everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And destroy the friendship, relationship, partnership. You'll hear me talk about those things a lot. Can I make a drink real quick?
Yeah.
Hey, whenever you want to kill it, too, we'll find a way out. Oh, where are you going? You have a lot more in you, though. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. And this is something new, you know what I mean? So you're not in your element. Like at Toots, that's your element. That's your domain. And if we would have done the podcast there, you would have been firing on all fucking gears. It's really hard to come in a chaotic place. Yeah. But dude, that's where you grow.
Right.
If are we still recording? Fuck it. Like coming into situations is chaos that you don't know what to expect. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen, and that's where the anxiety comes from. But every time you don't die, the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. God dang, that is so true. And it's not just daredevil stuff. It's everyday life stuff. It's putting ourselves, and that's, I think, and then I'm going to shut up one time. I think our purpose, people wonder what their purpose is to be on, everybody needs a purpose. And that's huge. That's a huge problem with the world. People are going through life without a purpose. And everyone has one. Some people think they should be a musician or a podcaster or a whatever. I think the secret is, I think one of your purposes could be expanding your potential as a individual, becoming a better version of you. And you do that by putting yourself into chaos, in unusual circumstances, in situations that you're fucking nervous about. Like, that's the secret. Invest your effort into things that scare the shit out of you. Yeah. And from that, you're going to come back and say, first of all, I fucking did it. I didn't die. Maybe I wasn't great, but I know what I did wrong. I know where I could have improved. And had you not exposed yourself to those circumstances, you would have never known how to have improved. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's about expanding your potential. That's all you're doing as an individual, is growing as a person by expanding your potential. And you do that by either being forced into a situation, which most of us are. I'd say 90% of our growth is because we were forced. Yeah. We were forced by a parent, a school teacher, to read out loud, to get you to give a presentation. Like, you wouldn't have a choice. Or a bill collector that says, pay me, bitch. Yeah. So, God damn, I got to find a way to make another. When you get desperate, it's amazing how you can shed an ego so fast. You're like, fuck it, I'll do anything. Yeah. Just show me, until we're desperate. And that's the highs and the lows. A low could be desperation. I have to do better. Like, I have to get her back. I have to get him back. I got to figure out what I did wrong. And then you're humble, And that's why I love the cycle of highs and lows. It's really, really important. That whole picture, we could spend the rest of our life talking about that painting, that concept and the importance of it. And anyways, don't worry. I was talking the whole time. It was on me anyways. Was it recording? Okay. Is that starting to make sense, Yeah, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. So now that's the whole point of this podcast. I was super scared. I was nervous as shit about it. Because I don't like being on camera. How about this? I was thinking about this. People put their talents on camera. Something they're good at. Yeah. Singing, art, whatever it is. Putting your imagination, your thoughts on camera was something totally different for me. Like, you're getting to know my insides, what I'm made of, like my vulnerabilities. Like, I'm letting you in to my mind, and I am putting it out there to be judged. And that was scary as shit. But I thought, That's one way to grow. Like, that's a big way to grow as a person.
Yeah. I feel like what you're talking about, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, I do a lot of rock climbing, and I feel like that is one of the most beneficial things someone could do if they like it, you know. But something about it's uncomfortable the entire time, you know. Like, there's points when you're climbing up this rock and you have your toe on this little pebble that's sticking out, you know, and it's like, that's an uncertain feeling of, you know, I may just drop completely off this thing. But and then you, in your head, you're like, you know, don't be a bitch right now. Like, just get up the rock.
Yeah.
Everybody's watching. And then
Yeah.
you do, and you feel so much better. But you have to go through that uncomfortable oh shit phase before you get to the dopamine.
You're right. And you grew as a person. You became a better version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You became more confident. You became a person that can now pass that on.
Yeah.
You can change someone else's life with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's the important thing in life. Whatever you do learn, I think if you want purpose in life, share everything you know.
Mm-hmm.
Learn as much as you can in life experiences, because you can't teach experience, but you can encourage others. This is, you want to change somebody. We're talking the other night about how do you, like, people want to change everyone, right?
Yeah.
Well, all you have to do is this one thing to be better. I don't think you can say anything to change someone. I think you can inspire them, right? By being the best version of you, by creating circumstances for yourself that people say, I want to know how you did that. Yeah. And then they're open to your suggestions. But until you've inspired them to a point or fascinated them enough in some way that they will unlock themselves to say, show me. Show me how to rock climb. I trust you. You can do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that's our obligation. If you want purpose, just focus on being the best version of you. Become a rock climber. Like, I mean, that's healthy. People say that has no value. What?
That's all of the value.
Yeah, it's like, shit, man. You're unlocking your potential by proving to yourself you can do anything.
I think I don't know if it's maybe wrong to think of something like rock climbing as just a hobby, because if, you know, going out to the bar is a hobby, I don't know. I just have this thing where it's I feel like there's people that love to go out and go into nature, and those kind of people are down to go kayaking and hiking. They'd go rock climbing if you invited them, kind of thing. But then there's people that just love, you know, let's go to Nashville, let's hit the wherever we're going to, you know. But I feel like it's wrong to label those as just hobbies. Like, they're both not hobbies. Like, going to the bar, going to the movie, I feel like that's more of a hobby. To me, like, rock climbing is a self-betterment.
A lifestyle?
You know? Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I almost disagreed. I almost said, well, I look at everything like a hobby. But I see what you're saying.
And I mean,
I think the bar and stuff for a lot of people is a way to just get away from chaos, listen to music, you know, enjoy yourself. That can be bad. I think you do too much of anything, it can be bad. Right. But I do see what you're saying, the difference. But let's say you have social anxiety. So maybe going to the bar and striking up a conversation could be important, you know? So I guess it depends on how you look at it. I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I never looked at it that way either.
Well, I mean, we like, to be accepted, man, is important. And when let's say you got a bar, or let's say you got, how do I get into that? You didn't talk about, okay. Like, we are guarded because, damn it, how do I get into that? We are guarded because we're afraid to be hurt, obviously. But if you can practice putting yourself out there, asking girls out, you know, we talked about, I said everything's a hobby to me. Everything, even my career, it's a hobby. It really is. I look at everything as, I'm just trying it for now.
Yeah.
It's not permanent. I am not doing the same thing for long. As soon as I lose interest, as soon as the passion's gone, the curiosity, moving on to something else. It feels like every time I start making good money in something, I'm ready to try something else. It's like, okay, it worked. Yeah. And I lose that drive, that desire's gone. But going out to a bar and just overcoming your fear of walking up to a girl and saying, hey, my name's so-and-so. My name's Jackson. What's your name?
Yeah.
And then dealing with that rejection. Like, how do you handle that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's important. Those things are important because that's how you grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people would say, oh, you're getting thicker skin, but you're also learning to communicate. And that's not taught. That's something you get through experience. Like, communicating is difficult. But I think of it all, you know, walking up and talking to a girl at a bar could be way more difficult than climbing Mount Everest for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, for sure.
But it's overcoming your insecurities, the things that scare you. I think that's maybe it. Whatever scares you is what you should be focused on. Like, I'm terrified of heights, but I still like doing it because I feel like I'm overcoming a part of something that's holding me back. I want to be free. I'm constantly focusing on shedding the things that scare me. So I kind of look at it in that way, like we're all lost.
Yeah.
I've learned the older I get, I used to be a very judgmental guy. I think when I first took my first personality test, I was an ENTJ. If you took the Myers-Briggs personality test, I think it's important. I'm wondering, it stands for extroverted, intuitive, thinking, judgmental. I don't know if I'm so judgmental anymore. I think I'm a different personality than what I used to be. I think that's important. I think you can become someone new.
Yeah. I do too. I have.
Yeah.
Just through a lot of
And you're
things.
young.
Yeah. Well,
You're young, but you, in a private conversation, you have life experiences not like some people. Some people's life experiences were tragic.
yeah.
Yours is just you put yourself out there and you think differently. That's the thing about you. You ask why, you know, rather than let happen and move on in life. You kind of ponder that and you invest effort into trying to understand how that could have happened or why it happened to begin with. And
Starting to think that's what tortures me. Is all the
it is.
the whys,
Oh, let me tell you what. You just nailed it.
Yeah.
I'm fucking miserable a lot of the time.
Right.
I feel haunted. I feel like I'm losing my mind sometimes. And I am jealous of people that just bounce through life. And
That just seem to not care about anything. I know.
I wished I could work the 9 to 5. Me and Dakota could talk about this forever. We've talked about it countless times because we're entrepreneurs. You know, we're driven by new possibilities, horizons. You know, entrepreneurship is not a business owner. Entrepreneurship is, I read this or seen it somewhere. It said an entrepreneur is someone that jumps off a cliff and builds an airplane on the way down or builds wings on the way down. You know what I mean? And that's it. A true entrepreneur just jumps in. Fuck it, we'll figure it out. And I love that about who I am, but there's always a flip side to every coin. I wouldn't trade my coin for anyone's.
Yeah.
But sometimes I am like, I wished I liked football. I wished I could sit around on a Sunday and just be excited about all week about this game. I don't relate to any sport, and it kind of sucks. I mean, I'm jealous of people that, not jealous in a negative way, but envious. How about that? I'm slightly envious to people that I think they're even happier in a lot of ways. People that make their money, come home, take care of their family, barbecue. Like, golly, man, I want that so bad in life. And I think maybe that's what I'm trying to get. I think maybe I'm trying to get all the shit out of the fucking way. Okay, brain, stop. Quit asking stupid ass fucking questions. You're not curing cancer. You're not doing anything special. You're just satisfying some question. And then maybe if I answer them all, I'll be like, I'm ready to just chill, you know?
I feel like you're at the point, I may not understand, but, you know, the whole, you know, the Sunday barbecue and hanging out with your family. I feel like you're already there, you know? Like,
You don't know me then. I don't do Sundays.
Yeah.
The closest thing I have to anything consistent, you couldn't track me. The damn government would struggle to track me. The only thing consistent about me is my inconsistence. I am terrified of scheduling a day for fun. Like I like it's really hard for me to commit. But I got some friends that I've become part of this group, and it all revolves around Jeeps. And it's been one of the healthiest things in my life to schedule November the 7th. what if something's happening that day? You know,
Yeah.
it fucks me up. You know, but I'm forced to be a part of something, and it feels great. But that's the only thing that I have that's consistent in my life is I know next October where I'm going to be, and that kind of trips me out because since I was a kid, making my way to town, you know, we went to town. You know, we cruised the 4 lanes. As silly as that may sound now, but that was the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I would always say, best plan is no plan. If anybody down here knows me, I'd say it my whole life. Best plan is no plan. I did not want to know what the night held. I wanted infinite possibilities. I will not do an itinerary. If you go on vacation with me, there is no itinerary. I want chaos. I want as much chaos in those circumstances as possible because that's where all the magic happens. It's where the amazing conversations with people that you would have never ran into. My wife is the exact same way. And it's probably a great thing, and maybe we're probably too much alike. Maybe that's where our conflict comes from, but we don't like to know what's about to happen. Like, I don't know how I got into that. Maybe I just like talking about me.
No, I understand what you mean. There's a certain pressure to having everything already laid out for you. You know, at least for me, it's nice, especially like if you're going on a vacation. Like, I don't want any plans. I'm gonna get around to doing whatever I want to do when I want to do it, kind of thing. I don't need someone to be stressing me out with, you got to be out by this time and do all
that's. I was gonna say I was wondering why I am that way. I think that's part of it, and also I don't want to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I don't want to have this fantasy of this is the way it's going to be and it not turn out, and then it just kind of ruin the whole thing. But I think that's actually more it. I don't want. So I have so much anxiety. Maybe that's what it is. I have so much anxiety about. Yeah, I think this is maybe it. I worry so much about if I don't know what's coming, I'm tickled to death. You'll never catch me thinking about what I'm going to say before a conversation is said. Like if I had to, okay, this is what's weird. I learned that I'm really good at speaking in public if I didn't know I was going to do it. But if you called me and said, Nathan, look, we want you to present this thing on this night, or we want you to accept this award. Nope. Won't be there. Like the anxiety of it would mess me up so bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know. It's maybe I just need to practice more breathing. I don't know.
It may just be the dread of knowing it's coming, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know why though. Is something in me inherently wrong? Like something, and I think it's fear of messing up, fear of judgment. I don't like attention. Yeah. It's hard to believe that when I'm doing something like this, but I'm not doing it for that reason.
Right.
But even that is your ego, worried about people thinking, oh, he just wants to be something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so stupid. Fuck, man. I want to evolve out of the shit that's so shallow. To think that people give a fuck is such a narcissistic idea. And nobody gives a fuck. You ever heard the term, those that care don't matter, those that matter don't care? Like, that is so true, man. Yeah. That is one of the truest statements of all time. Why can't we just accept that?
Because everybody starts to care at some point, I feel like.
Well, I mean, people outside of your circle don't care.
Yeah.
And the ones that do care don't matter. And there's only a few people that care about you. And if they care, it's because they're jealous. Care in that way. Like your family cares about you. Right. But if somebody feels the need to judge you or make fun of you, man, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I agree.
These are fucking... What's amazing is that every time I have a conversation, I feel like I always have more questions than answers, which I'm okay with that.
That's okay. We definitely picked some hard topics to discuss there.
I didn't know what we were going to talk about. I think you will walk away from this being like, I should have said this. You know what I mean? And I always think about this. So if there's anything that you do think may come back to haunt you, and be like, fuck, I wish I would have said this. I wish not a question.
Yeah.
Just reflect on some concept. Like this is not to give advice or to receive advice. It's to explore possibilities. Explore concepts.
Well, going back to anxiety and depression.
What did you think about Eckhart Tolle's definition of those two things? And the power of now. And if you ever read the book, the whole book is about focusing on right now because it's the only thing that's real.
When you told me, I don't know, it sounds like his definition, which...
Yeah, it is. It is his definition. It's his, it's a philosophy that he has.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I don't
That's
know,
awesome, though.
And I'm not saying that...
No, I want to hear... No, go back into it. Because that's how we learn, is by challenging these things that don't make sense to us.
I just feel like anxiety and depression, I don't know. I don't know if it's only stuck in the past and the future kind of thing. I think that's definitely a part of it, especially with anxiety, is you're always worrying about something that may happen. But I don't know.
Or anxiety is... I would agree that with him. I do agree that anxiety is things that have not happened. Mm-hmm. Worrying about doing things that need to be done. Mm-hmm. I need to pay this bill. Yeah. You'll get anxiety. Your procrastination, putting it off when you realize, oh shit, I was supposed to do this, and then you have the anxiety. And then for me, it made perfect sense, and I probably did a shitty job of describing. So maybe I didn't do him justice. So I'd highly recommend the book.
Right.
But it's a hard read. I would listen to audiobook. I'm more of an audiobook dude. I don't have the capacity to sit down and read too many books. But he's a fucked up dude. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I mean, he had this epiphany moment that he... Like, honestly, the way to describe him would be... Like, I don't know if he has emotion. Like, I almost feel like he has... What is it when you...
Stoicism?
Oh, Stoicism, I know. That's a good one. Stoicism is like a religion almost. I love, we've talked about that. No, to transcend. Okay. He's transcended human reality. And it was, the way he describes it is he's transcended. And he teaches it. But I thought, man, I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
I don't want to just live now. I like the fucking past. And I love the future. And I like me. I just want to keep asking why. But he is this Zen German dude that doesn't sound like a fun dude at the bar. He's not somebody you want to sit down. He's somebody you want to go to for answers. Not somebody you want to kick the shit with and bullshit with, And I still want to be that guy. I still want to be relatable. He's not relatable. And I think he had a stroke or passed out and hit his head on the fucking floor. And then he had this epiphany. And it changed him who he was. Like, I'm not... If you've ever seen him, I'm not sure I'm fascinated. I would love to see him at his house. Like peek in his window, like open the blinds and be like, normal day. I just want to see him laugh. Like, does he have that emotion, Yeah. And I don't know if he does. But I'd like to stalk.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Well, I want to hear your thoughts on depression and anxiety. We kind of both agree that anxiety seems to be in the future, dwelling on the future. And his description of depression was dwelling on the past. And, I mean, for me, it made sense. What do you think? You've thought about it.
Yeah. I don't know if really the thing is with depression, especially dwelling over the past, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people's... And I don't know how accurate all this is when you start grouping things together like that.
Doesn't matter. There's no fucking judgment here. Nobody's going to judge, man. Yeah. You're right, and nobody gives a fuck, to be honest with you. I mean, because we're all asking the same goddamn question. God dang it, I quit saying that. We're all asking the same question. Yeah. But we're sitting here putting it on here to be recorded, and in 5 years, you're going to be able to reflect on this and be like, that's the way I thought.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of depression is more... on yourself more than like in the future, in the past. Like a lot of people are just day by day dogging on themselves, and it's I think
I agree.
Depression to me is like you make a lot of little mistakes all day and that's all you focus on. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you just described dwelling on the past because those were mistakes that have happened in the past.
Yeah, okay.
And trying to dwelling on something that you can't change. And I think you're 100% right. I agree with you. Matter of fact, I'm sure Eckhart Tolle would agree.
No, I just didn't know
100%?
I agreed with you so much.
Huh?
I just didn't know I agreed with you so much.
Well, no, you're 100% right. Like focusing on things that we can't change is fucking insanity. I think that's why I'm not a depressed person. I don't think I have any form of depression. I think that I have the symptoms of what depression feels like.
Right.
And it's when I don't feel productive. Sorry. It's when I feel like I don't know if I reflect. You know what? I don't think I suffer from depression. If Eckhart Tolle is correct, I don't think. I think I'll consider it.
Yeah.
I think I'll reflect on it. Ooh, it's another conversation. I think I'll reflect on things that I did, but I don't dwell on them. I think that's the difference. I think that when you dwell on it and you try to write something, but you can't. You can't. I don't want to make it right. I want to learn from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's healthy. Reflecting on the past is important. Dwelling on it is a totally different concept.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's I've never done it. Matter of fact, I paid for it. Jordan Peterson put together a program, and it was a 3-part thing. It was about writing about your past, writing about the present, and writing about the future. And I'm not going to go into the details on why writing is important. Talking about it is just as important. That's why I think therapy is good. But he writes about the past, and anyways, it was basically to get closure. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get closure on things where we messed up.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was something really intriguing about it, and I never did it. I just honestly didn't feel like I needed it. I was intrigued by it, but then I've just got to where I was like I think I'm okay. Maybe I need to go back and do it.
Yeah.
I just don't spend any time in the fucking past. I really don't. I love to reflect on it. I like to relive it. I like to talk about it with my friends and stuff. But usually when I'm thinking about the past, it's usually always happy thoughts. So it's hard for me to relate. I don't pretend to understand depression. Like I don't even pretend. I can't. How can I relate to something that I don't suffer from?
Yeah.
So it's tough in that way. I feel like I'm sorry. I mean, I almost feel bad that I don't experience that.
Yeah.
But I do suffer from anxiety. So
Yeah. And that's something that I don't know. I think about. I don't think I'm actually like have depression.
Yeah.
I think I just have symptoms, and I think more often than not it's just anxiety, and then I get a little sad, But it's
good.
I feel like
I like that.
I've just heard that like depression is like you can't even get out of bed.
Yeah. Well, my dad, that was depression. Yeah. When I found out my dad was dead, I was just glad he didn't. I found out it wasn't suicide.
Right.
That's how excited I was. I was happy. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I studied it. I think maybe that's why I went so deep into it. I was trying to understand my dad, and and he had demons that I could never relate to. I think it would be a shame to even pretend that I could imagine where he was coming from.
Yeah.
Don't know. Can't relate. But when you were saying you felt like this sense of depression, I feel it too. Like I feel down. Everybody thinks, how do you have all this energy? Yeah. Well, it's when when I'm out in the chaos, I feel this energy. But when I'm home, sometimes I'm dragging ass. Like sometimes I want to stop doing the podcast. Yeah. Like it crosses my mind. Like you sound like a fucking idiot. First of all, right? Yeah. And I start judging myself, and I start thinking about some of the things that I said, which the past,
right? And
maybe that's where my depression's coming from. But then, I come back to reality and realize, no, what you're doing is important because you're putting yourself out there, and whether anybody hears it or not, whether anybody gets anything from it, the fact is that you are overcoming something that's holding you back. You're overcoming a fear. Mm-hmm. So, like, none of this is scripted. These aren't things that I this is all from the gut. Yeah. Everything I say is from the gut, down to I don't know what the fuck I'm going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
And that's all planned. It's all part of the plan, because look, if I have it all planned out, then how am I going to learn something new? How are we going to discover some other possibility? So what's the saying? True creativity is born in spontaneity, right? I believe that. I truly believe that new concepts and ideas are born in chaos, are born in but if it's all planned out, like the greatest movies ever made had no budget, had no plan. They winged it. They figured it out on the way. And then you get these multi-billion-dollar budgets. It feels like, not billion, but you get these massive budgets and they're fucking flops. All the great shit that's ever happened was born. It was discovered. All the great art, the greatest songs, the greatest inventions, the greatest words and concepts were born. Right? Yeah. And that's where that's the realm I'm always trying to exist in. Is I don't want to know. I want if that makes any sense. I didn't mean to even go there, but that's why I love art, and I can't paint shit, but I appreciate it because the greatest art was discovered. Yeah. It wasn't thought about. No artist ever thought about this. They had a very blurry vision of maybe what they were trying to go for. But if they were that good, no art would ever end up in the garbage. But it does. Most of it ends up in the garbage because it wasn't it didn't turn out to be what they hoped for. Right. But the best art was, I imagine, I'm about to have an artist on next week and I want to pick her brain with this, but I imagine this brushstroke that revealed a texture or a line on some face or some horizon. You're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. Like, fuck me. And then you build on that. Does that make sense?
No, it completely.
So I try to live my whole life in that realm of possibilities. Which generates a shit ton of fucking chaos and anxiety. But hey, you can't have everything. I like it that way. I have highs, I have lows. I just try to minimize those as much as possible.
That's a good way to go about it, I feel like. Because instead of... It's probably impossible to just completely cut off the lows. And like you said...
they're important.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you wouldn't have a fucking mountain to climb. You wouldn't be a rock climber if there wasn't a low.
Right.
If there wasn't something worth climbing. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the secret sauce. The lows are important. I won't call it depression, but the unhappy times are every bit as important as the happy times.
Yeah. Let you know what the happy times are.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even, I don't even think it's been recorded that a human being, it is recorded that a human being can stay depressed. Right? They eventually kill themselves. Just what happens. Right. If they don't do it, the body will do it. Number one cause of death, stroke, heart attack, right? Why? Well, because cortisol restricts blood vessels. So the number one killer in the world is cortisol. Just nobody realizes that.
Yeah.
Right? The hormone. People would say, well, why do we have fucking cortisol? Because your body was trying to get you off the fucking couch, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was trying to get you to be productive. It was trying to get you to take care of this thing that you should have took care of. Where I'm out here paying 10 grand over something that wouldn't have cost me a fucking dime because I was just so stupid and lazy. I couldn't take care of this little thing. Yeah. And I just let it compound. So that's the purpose of cortisol, to get you the fuck up to go take care. But I was really good at blocking the cortisol. Like, fuck that. I'm going to go do this thing that, I'm saying, we were just talking about highs and lows being important, and they fucking are, man. Yeah. They are beautiful. But you wouldn't, I said I don't think a human being has ever been recorded. There's no recorded, documented case that a human being was just fucking happy. It may appear that way. That's Instagram. That's bullshit. The fact is, there's plenty of recorded cases that people are unhappy. That is sustainable for a while. Yeah. Because you only produce so much of these magical chemicals. You have to experience them and then you come down. Yeah. But I think baseline is pretty good too. I try to stay as close to baseline as possible. It's why I don't gamble. It's why I don't do any form of drug that would release these things. It's why I do like alcohol, which is a depressant, but for whatever reason, it doesn't depress me. Alcohol accentuates all your emotions. Whatever emotion you you're feeling, alcohol will accentuate that. And I'm not justifying alcohol. I don't even think alcohol is a good drug. I think it's the worst one out of all of it. I'd much rather see weed.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm someone that could function on weed. It just doesn't. It wouldn't agree with me. So this is why I wouldn't do it. But well, how the fuck did I say that? Why did I say that? I was saying that to say I don't do things that would provoke or encourage or stimulate the release of these chemicals.
Yeah.
I just try to stay away from it. I try to set a goal that would do it. I try to help someone. You know, everything's a selfish reason. Everything we do is for personal benefit on some level, not necessarily monetarily, but self-satisfaction.
Yeah.
I just think it's important, up and down cycle, but it shouldn't look like this. Shouldn't look like it shouldn't be a V. It should be a U's, right? Like an AC sine wave. Have you ever seen one?
Yeah.
Okay, you got a baseline. You go positive, negative, positive, negative, and it's very much the shape of yin yang. The way that curve is, it's a beautiful concept, and I wish people would study it a little bit more and maybe ask why a little bit more.
I don't know what you're talking about. Do you think that maybe if lows are necessary, like is there a way to
Equally.
to make I don't know, to make your anxiety work for you? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like to make that a good
Fuck
thing?
yeah. Well, I mean, it is a good thing. That anxiety. Hold on. Maybe I misspoke.
No.
And I hear dogs barking. I apologize.
It's okay.
Oh, motherfucker. That don't even sound like one of my dogs. Can you make your anxiety work for you? Man, that's a good question. Because at first, when you first said it, I said, oh, fuck yeah. I was thinking of more of I think your anxiety. Wow, oh shit, this is hard now. Because I'm trying to imagine what anxiety is. Like, okay, well, I'll talk about it in this way. What is stress? To feel stressed. It's unresolved issues. It's not doing something you should, or it's trying to get you to stop doing something you're doing. Right? The body releases these chemicals. Like, for instance, if you're making bad choices, the body says you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And it releases cortisol. Or if you should go over and say hello to a girl, the same hormone is released, and you feel that burning sensation, right? You're like, your body, you should go say hi, and you're about to miss your fucking opportunity. And goddamn, the longer you wait, the stronger it gets. Can you relate to what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, just say a girl, because that's an easy one. Everybody can relate to that. You should go say hi. And if you pass up your opportunity, right, I mean, your body's like, you are a loser. You know what I mean? Because that was an opportunity for procreation or a good conversation or whatever.
Right.
So I look at it in that way. Yeah, it's very important to listen to your gut. We should have had this whole conversation about listening to your gut, because your gut has been measured. There's a book called do I even want to go into that? We can talk about the book since I mentioned it. It's called, what the hell is it called? It's actually written by a world champion poker player. And they realized that the subconscious is aware of its circumstances or surroundings or the outcome of something. And it's been measured up to 7 seconds. Your gut knows before conscious thought knows. Before Jackson and Nathan is aware of what they should do, your gut says 1. But what if it's not 1?
Yeah.
Right? We second guess ourselves. No, as a matter of fact, it's been measured up to like 90-something% accuracy that your instinct it knows what you should do. But when you go against your instinct, the body releases all these hormones, and now you feel anxious. Right. Or whatever. But anyways, is there a benefit to it? I don't know. I've never thought about it. I mean, I think there's a benefit to cortisol and stress, and it's trying to get you to do something or to stop doing something constantly. But anxiety, just worrying about fucking up in 5 minutes, maybe it's important, because the more you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, the easier it gets. Yeah. And that's if you ever seen a great public speaker, they didn't start that way. it was, it took time.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really important for me to put up all my shitty videos because I want people to know that I sucked.
Yeah.
And you can suck that bad too.
And get
But
better.
yeah. I want to see, like most people only show their best art. No, show me your worst art. Show me how bad you can suck. Let me hear your shitty songs. Let me hear how many shitty songs you tried to fucking write before you had this hit. Like, give me fucking hope. Because when you set the bar that high, well, there's no point in even trying.
Yeah.
But had I known you sucked really bad for a long time and you just fucking kept trying, it would have given me hope to attempt that. I don't know how I got on that, but I guess your question was anxiety and the importance of it. I don't know. Okay, so you said that the importance of lows being equally important as highs, but you got to think about what balance is. I think that balance is not necessarily equal and opposing. It's asymmetrical, not just necessarily symmetrical. Yeah. So a sine wave of happiness does not have to equally be as low. I think of it this way: if the world is balanced, or is always trying to maintain some form of balance, then I see it this way. We'll say the red is good.
Okay.
The red is good, and I think that's what the world is. Overall, people are good. But to balance out that good, it only takes a tiny bit of evil, a tiny bit of crime, a tiny bit of bad to equal out all this good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it only takes a tiny bit of negative emotions to complement positive ones, Yeah. And so I think you can spend more time up here enjoying it, come down, understand why you're here, why am I depressed, oh yeah, and come out of it super fast. And so I think that's what I'm always doing. I'm getting better at spending less time in the lows, but I understand the value of them. So I'm here. I'm saying, okay, now I've got to start making choices in life that get me the fuck out of here.
Right.
So get up, do something productive today, and then I start feeling good about myself. Because once I've done something productive, the body rewards me with these wonderful chemicals, and I feel good. I said, shit, I did something I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, this is what's funny is because I am self-employed, even working for someone, right, like Nissan, I'm still employed by Nissan, but I think of myself as being self-employed. I am self-employed outside of Nissan too, but I treat it all the same. Right. Like, I love the structure that Nissan gives me. It gives me boundaries, and I have a boss that says, Nathan, where's this work at? I love that. So I had to create that outside of Nissan as well. Right. I had to hire someone. I had to get a partner that held me accountable. They said, dude, they're waiting on this work. Well, now I'm doing it because he expects it. He needs it. Yeah. Without someone keeping me accountable, I'm very depressed. I do suffer from depression because I have things that I should have done. And I'm depressed that I didn't. I had an opportunity. Maybe that's how I reflect on my depression. Right. So I like putting people in my life that hold me accountable. It's really, really hard. Me and Dakota was going to talk about it one night about how shitty it is to be self-employed, how hard it is. It's fucking hard, man. People need to be managed. People need boundaries. Yeah. Whether you want it or not. People say, oh, you should just put yourself in like people think, oh, I just want the freedom. No, you fucking don't. You'll blow your brains out. You really will. In the end, if you don't have somebody forcing you to get something done, even the boss is accountable to somebody. Yeah. Well, if he's a CEO of some company, he's accountable to the shareholders. We're all managed. I don't know how I got on that, but by God, it connected flawlessly for me.
That was great.
Sorry.
I will say though, like you said, you had to get somebody just to help. What was the word?
Motivate. Hold me accountable.
Hold you accountable. Yep. I feel like those are the hardest people to find, even not in a
you gotta pay them.
sense, but
sometimes you got to pay them because it's a fucking hassle trying to hold somebody accountable. Yeah. Right? There has to be something to lose. Like if I lost him, oh shit, I would be lost. I think I've outsmarted my laziness. As a matter of fact, me and him was talking about it today. Man, that's why it's fresh in my mind. Like, I'm a lazy motherfucker. I really am. And it's one of my greatest qualities. It's how I've learned how to make things easier in life. Yeah. Lazy people are very efficient. But there's a side effect to that. If I'm not forced to do something, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. Like if you're not standing over me or expecting it. Now listen, my biggest fear is to disappoint someone. So that's all the motivation I need. Right. Just having somebody say, you told me you was going to have that done by Monday. Now you've put me in a bind. I look like an asshole. You put me in that situation. That's why we wait to the last fucking second. Don't we? Yeah. We all do it. We all wait to the last fucking second. I want to pay someone because this is why I say human beings are so shallow, right? We're easily manipulated. Emotions are fascinating to me because I can pay someone to manipulate my emotions. My body doesn't know the difference. Maybe I know. Maybe Nathan knows. I paid that motherfucker to put anxiety on me. And I'm not saying I'm doing that. I'm saying I think we could. Yeah. I think we could hire someone to motivate us. To say, you fucking told me, man. And they show me emotion. My body doesn't know the difference. It says, oh, shit, I fucked up. I should have done better. Isn't that fucked up that we're so easily manipulated? Like, for instance, you dump a girl or you get dumped. Let's say you get dumped. All you have to do is pretend to be happy. And she knows you're pretending. Doesn't fucking matter. The moment she thinks you're okay without her, Jackson, what are you up to? Yeah, you know the circumstances. Yeah. And you are just as shallow as she is or whatever. The moment you could have dumped some girl, and the moment you think she's happy, you're like, oh, shit, what's she up to? Right? And you know she's faking. You know it's all bullshit. Right. And the moment you get back together, you're like, yeah, she's bullshitting. I knew better. Why'd I come back this bitch? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we are so easily manipulated. Yeah. Emotions are fucking powerful and they're dangerous, and we could have had a whole conversation about that, but...
Man, no, seriously.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
So, you was talking about stoicism. I think you're on the right track if you're studying that. Not that I studied it deeply. Right. I learned enough about it that I figured out how to apply it to my life, and for me, stoicism is practicing the art of not giving a fuck. The art of suppressing those emotions. Yeah. The art of pretending. I don't want to get into emotions, but I think that's what stoicism is. And I know when you study it, stoicism is expecting the worst in the beginning of the day. Have you ever studied to that point? Like people that studied stoicism, they would consider the possible failures for the day. Like they would prepare themselves for the worst. Yeah. So when shit happened, they were kind of prepared for it. That seems like a shitty way of living my life. What I was about to say. Yeah. But so I just took from it, oh shit, man. The secret to life is not reacting, because a reaction is a response with an emotional connotation, right? A reaction is weak. It's sometimes important for a birthday party, but when you're upset, it's probably not that good. If you can hide that and suppress it and just respond or don't say shit at all, you're better off. And I think that is what stoic is. He's a stoic motherfucker, unaffected.
I agree. I don't know. I think it can be bad too, though.
Stoic?
Yeah.
Just
I don't know. Once you get where you're
making people that think you don't care.
Well, and I don't even know if it's that, but I don't think it's healthy to suppress emotions that much. You know, I think it's all about like the yin and yang, like suppress some emotions, but you also need some emotions. You know.
No, well, that's the thing. Yeah. You're not that powerful. Like, you can suppress them enough to get you through a moment and not make a fool of yourself, not fight someone, not cry, not buy a house when you know what I'm saying? These emotions that make you, that propel you to do something, like, you can stop. You can not react. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't think that we're capable of suppressing to a yeah, I mean, I guess we can suppress it, but I do think you're right. We should reflect on it. We should take time to ourselves to, like, process. Like, I haven't processed my dad's loss yet. I want to. Right. I just haven't had the moment. I've just been putting it off. And I thought, how silly. You're telling me that Like I kind of have. But I learned my whole life I would suppress negative emotions and act as if they didn't happen. And it made me a very unrelatable person when it come to being empathetic. And I'm learning what empathy is, and that's like being able to be relatable. And so I think it's very important. I agree with you. I think it's very important to process negative emotions, but not react. You know, reflect on them, process them, but don't react on these emotions.
Right.
That's why I say you can respond, but not react. Those are two totally different things.
Right.
What do you think? Think we'll wrap it up?
If you want to, yeah.
Or we can keep going. I don't give a fuck.
It's up to you.
What time is it?
Almost 7:20.
Oh, God. We've been going for a long time. It's time to wrap it up. I think we got something we can use, though. I think we started finding our groove, and I think it was hard because we've only had one conversation.
Right.
But now we're starting to learn who each other was, and it was important with not necessarily your age, but your perspective. Like, I'm not 20 years old, so it's hard for me to relate. And you're a different 20-year-old. Like, you're a 20-year-old, 40-year-old trapped in a 20-year-old body. Like, you think about things differently, and which I got to tell you, you have an advantage in life, and I hope you take that and realize not people aren't like you.
Yeah.
And I know you haven't even come clean to who you really are, and really the things you think about, you haven't even scratched the surface. But I think it's important that, you know, you realize you're different. You are.
I'll try to not let it go to my head too much.
Oh,
I appreciate it.
Well, you know. Anyways, thanks for watching. Guess we're done, right? Cool. Thank you so much, man.
Anytime.
I really do.
Thanks for having me on, man. This is
It
fun.
took us a while to find our groove, but
I was sweating.